Magruder in the left slot. Hill, right side, hit at the line of scrimmage. Tries to keep going. Does he get in? No sit. Touchdown, Midway. Oh, my. That took forever.
The Midway Weekly Podcast is brought to you by Bentwood Realty, Bird Culchin Ford, Bubba's 33, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. Now, here's David Smoke.
It's our weekly Midway High School football podcast with head coach Shane Anderson on 365 Sports. Shane joins me in studio. Friday night at home against Heath High School out of Rockwall, the last non-district game. 4 non-district games this year, 6 district games, and they open up District 12 6A the following week at home against Hutto. How you doing, man? How is my buddy Shane doing?
Oh, we're great. You know, it's we get to wake up every morning and go out there and coach kids and try to get better, and not just on the field, but just help them become better young men and great student athletes. And so, we're just trying to keep everything in perspective, understanding that the first 3 weeks haven't gone our way, but we've played really good opponents, and we got another really good one this week.
Vandegrift's really good. As polished as I've seen, they could do everything, and they had the right people to do everything. And obviously it got it into a landslide pretty quickly, 45-0. Did you take anything out of that game that could be positive?
Yeah, don't turn the ball over. We've turned it over way too many times, and both offensively and in special teams. I think we're getting better in certain areas. Now you got to get the film out to see it. It's not something that if you're just a fan in the stands or somebody that's just watching the game, you're probably not going to realize anything in a 45-0 loss. But, you got to keep things in perspective. You got to understand it's a long season. And the name of the game is to be ready for district. And so, I think we're making strides and understanding that we still got a ways to go.
I'm not going to set you up with this question, but I think it's a fair question. With who you have played, let's say Vandegrift and now Rockwall Heath, will you play anybody better in district?
I think, as far as just the tradition and the guys that they're going to put on the field, Temple and Harker Heights are going to put 11 football players on the field that can flat play. And, I think, you go back to the 3 teams we've played so far, their overall record's 8-1, and with the only loss coming to Vandegrift, to a Dripping Springs team that has a Power 5 quarterback that's committed to Baylor. And so, like I said, I think you got to look at the reality, and it's not an excuse. But like I've said time and time again, where we're located, you're not going to get any weak sisters if you want to play a 6A schedule. You can probably pull a few 5As, to play if you wanted to. But if you want to play 6A football in non-district, you're going to have to play the best teams in the Metroplex and the best teams in the Austin area.
You could find some schools in Dallas but does that make you better? If you were to be, like right now, if you were 3-0, but you had no level of competition compared to who you played, and I'm not trying to say it's not good, it's 0-3, you got blown out, but you could find a way to be 3 or 4-1 in non-district if you wanted.
Yeah, you can with scheduling, but like I said, I think the goal is to get this program back to where it was. And, at one time, Midway was playing the best of the best in non-district, and we went to Lake Travis in 2014 and opened up the season with a win in Lake Travis.
Cedar Park when they were on their great run.
Absolutely.
Euless Trinity,
Yep. And so, I think it's just part of the, cliche of a process and putting this thing together and trying to get better. And, the thing you just worry about kids nowadays in 2022 is just the confidence and, with social media and so many naysayers out there. And, you got to keep the kids positive. You got to keep the noise out of the locker room, and you got to make sure they understand what we're focused on and what we're trying to do as a staff. And I think if I do a great job as the head coach and our staff does a great job of coming to work with a plan, with our kids' mind, kids being first in mind, and I just think that's how it happens.
Winning is about obviously a talent level, the chemistry, the schemes, the coaching staff, and all of that. But I heard this week you had to kind of remind them that it really is everything. It's how does the locker room look? Do people leave trash on the floor? Is there everything are people turning in what they're supposed to get cleaned and all that? You kind of had to go back to the basics with that, right?
Yeah, I'm an attention to detail guy, and the guys I've worked for and the guys I've learned from, It's attention to detail, and you can't just wait till Friday night when the lights come on. And there's so many kids, and there's so many adults that try to wait till the lights come on, and the little things end up costing you. And I think, I listened to Coach Aranda's interviews, this week, and he hit on a lot of the same things. And, just it's attention to detail, and to be good, you've got to do everything the right way.
All right, Heath is a team that with Mike Spradlin was the head coach that took them to a different level. He, of course, came under the Art Briles coaching tree at Houston. He was the head coach at Temple, and a lot of what they still do, all the way back to whatever happened at Stephenville when they were winning state championships for them in the 90s. But now it's a coaching change. It's John Harrell. Mike has moved on, but he put them at a certain level, and they do the same things. I mean, Harrell played at Stephenville. He's in that same mode. They are as explosive as maybe anybody you'll play this year.
Yeah, they can put up points. There's no doubt. And, they've shown that the last couple of weeks. And, like I said, their only losses to a really, really good Denton Guyer team. And if you haven't seen Denton Guyer on tape this year, their DBs – I think they scored 4 defensive touchdowns against Heath. And so it's another level, as far as that Guyer deal goes. And those Heath kids believe. They know the process. They've been there. They know what 3 or 4 rounds deep in the playoff looks like. And their expectations haven't changed, and you can tell that. And they're early in their process. And, but when you have a program with some consistency, you can go back and watch. Week 2, they're going to do this. Week 3, they're going to do this. And they're right on course where they need to be. And, hopefully they make us better this week, and we can give them an opportunity to get better as well.
Midway has produced players at the college level, and if they didn't play college football, they played college baseball like many of them did. You have played back-to-back games against teams that had offensive linemen, tackles, who have committed to play for Dabo Swinney at Clemson. You had that monstrous defensive front that Mansfield had early. The quarterback last week for Vandegrift was as special. Number 1, you'd mentioned him. Coleman is special, very special. That's pretty salty territory.
Yeah, I think that's good 6A football. The quarterback last week, you could tell he's a baseball commit, but he's a catcher. He's a tough kid. He's going
to Baylor.
Yep, yeah. And he's going to do his job. And you mentioned that the big O lineman that we've played and the 2 D linemen from Mansfield, and you can't forget about the safety from Mansfield that's committed.
Oh, yeah.
We've played some good people, and we're going to continue to play good people. And I think for our kids to get to line up against those guys and see what it's all about, gives them an opportunity to continue to improve.
Shane Anderson, head coach at Midway. They have Rockwall Heath Friday night, 7 o'clock is the kickoff. Our 6:30 pregame on 106.7 FM, The Eagle, and also on Sikkim 365 Radio. You said you had to be watching the film to see what you may be doing better. For someone that doesn't get to watch the film, what are you doing better? Well, where are you getting better?
I think we've improved in special teams. We got to be more consistent, with our punting game.
Yeah.
We've got to be able to flip the field. Like I said, I keep bringing up the 6A deal, but, at the lower levels, you can get away with not flipping the field completely. But when you're playing really good 6A offenses and 6A defensive, it's just like the college game. You've got to flip the field. You can't play the whole night on your end of the field. You've got to have a way to do that. And if you're not making big plays offensively, you got to flip the field in the kicking game. The other thing we have to do a better job of, like I've already mentioned, is not turning the ball over. I think we've put a big emphasis on that this week, and then taking what they give us in the kicking game and the kickoff return. We've talked to our kids about fair catching the ball inside the 20, and we get it at the 25 instead of the 15. And for kids, you got to break it down. The 15 to the 25, that's 10 yards. That's a first down.
Yeah.
And so you've really got to break that stuff down. And then I think defensively, we're continuing to improve, and we're starting to find the best 11 kids that we can put out there. And then, offensively, I feel like our offensive line got better last week, and they're going to continue to improve, and we feel like we've kind of got an identity.
You're making a change at quarterback. Junior Thornton, who is your most dynamic player, I think that's fair to say, on your football team with the ball in his hands. And you've tested that. You've toyed with that a little bit. Reed Tedford is still right there in the mix, but you're going to go with Junior. Does that mean you're going to run a different offense with him? What does that mean?
Well, we got some things in there for Junior that fit Junior, as far as the quarterback run game and stuff goes. But, I think it's just an opportunity, and we've tossed around some ideas, and we've met as a staff, and I've met with both of those young men, and and talked to them about where we're at, and I feel like it's fair to give Junior a full week of prep, and I feel like it's fair to give Junior, a mindset of going into the game as a starter and see what he can do. That doesn't mean Junior's going to be the starter next week. It means Reed started 3 games and Junior's going to start this one. Then we're going to make a decision what gives us the best opportunity going in the district.
He is a guy that can jump out of the booth. I mean, we saw him. He hurdled a couple of guys. And I'm sitting there going, I heard 2 things from a coach one time about guys that leap over defenders. You're trying to make the guy miss, and he did. You're going to land on your one leg one way or the other, and that makes you vulnerable if you get hit in the leg. Number 2, you lose your leverage, and Junior doesn't weigh a lot. He's strong, and you lose the leverage of holding on to the football. Have you talked to him about that?
I can assure you the first thing that I told him is if we do this, you better stay on the ground, stay on your feet. And if you make
that he's going to leap over someone.
If you leap, it better be into the end zone.
All right, man. You never know. You got to turn the corner sometimes. As you said, you still have the opportunity to be a playoff team when district starts next week at home against Hutto. Shane, thanks for your time. Appreciate Bert Colgin Ford, our sponsors of our weekly Midway Football podcast with Shane Anderson. I'm David Smoke, and this is 365 Sports.
Magruder in the left slot. Hill, right side, hit at the line of scrimmage. Tries to keep going. Does he get in? No sit. Touchdown, Midway. Oh, my. That took forever.
The Midway Weekly Podcast is brought to you by Bentwood Realty, Bird Culchin Ford, Bubba's 33, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.